Hey y'all, it's finally a beautiful day outside. The rain has passed, but I am going to warn you it's windy, so if my hand is not protecting the mic enough from this wind, you may hear it, so I apologize ahead of time. We are finally able to start getting our plants in the ground. It has been pouring and pouring and pouring rain, and it keeps bringing in new cold weather, so we are finally now able to get started, and I wanted to walk you guys around where we're going to be putting all of our plants, what we're going to be planting, and what our plans are for the spring. So I will get you guys turned around so you can look at the yard instead of at me, and I'll let you know what's going on. So the first thing is that I am going to be planting potatoes this year. I got like 6 different kinds, and I'm also going to be, in addition to that, doing sweet potatoes. I have started my sweet potatoes inside, but the slips are forming really slowly, so that may or may not happen as quickly as I'd like it to. We're going to be using containers because last year I planted some root vegetables and some tubers and some bulbs, garlic and onions and shallots, and they just did not do well here with the soil. It is really clay heavy here, and there is also a lot of sandstone, so it can be kind of a tough environment for plants to grow underground. So I am using a technique that I learned from Hollis and Nancy's Homestead. Their channel is absolutely awesome. If you haven't checked it out, I definitely would, because they go into great detail about techniques for starting plants, especially potatoes and all kinds of other things. They go over all different types of plants, how they grow them. They do a lot of container gardening, and they teach you all about different types of potatoes, how to grow them, how to amend your soil. I mean, they're just absolutely awesome. So we will be doing lots of these. In this, I have red Norlands. I've also containerized my blue Adirondacks. I have some Yukons. I have several other kinds of potatoes, but I cannot remember exactly which ones right now. So I will include a list in the description so that you guys will be able to see exactly what we're growing. On top of that, I did have some grocery store russet potatoes that had started to chit, so I cut those up and cured them so that I could try those also and see if they grow, just as a little experiment to kind of see what kind of results I do get out of grocery store potatoes. Everything else I'm using is seed potatoes that came from our local farm store. On top of that, there is one of my little 4-legged creatures. That's Chance, hiding behind that bucket, laying in the sun, getting himself some sun time. He's our littlest one. The other one is right there. That's our biggest one. That's Tabasco. And you can see I've got lots of other plants coming up here. As we walk around, you will see that there is kind of a mess under the porch. We are in the middle of finishing our outdoor kitchen, so that project is continuing underway. The first flower bed, well, not flower bed, used to be flower bed, that's now a garden bed, is right here, and it currently has mint in it, which has been here since before we moved in. It was planted organically then, and I have continued to grow it organically. I dry it, pick it and dry it. I take cuttings from it and give them away, and I also make extracts out of it using vodka. And it looks like somebody's been digging in my garden. Chance, were you digging in my garden? He loves to dig right there in the middle of my mint plants. For some reason, I have yet to be able to figure out. This is the flower bed where last year I did plant the garlic and shallots and onions, and they just had a really hard time. So I have continued to amend this soil. The raspberries that are planted here really, really like this soil. So does the mint. So we'll continue to grow things like that. As you can see, it's already starting to green out. I have not cut the canes from last year. And I've got new canes already coming up. That is from one of the gecko cages. I use cleanouts from my reptile cages as part of my amendments for some of my flower beds, and the plants seem to absolutely love it. The bedding is cocoa coir and/or cocoa chips, depending on the animal. So that, and then along with all of their waste, really seems to boost the plants a little bit. I'm pretty sure Chance thinks himself a little mini gardener, but he loves to eat the mint plants. But that's okay, because it grows like a weed, and if he doesn't eat it and the other dogs don't eat it, I have to just, I mean, I saved so much last year. It was absolutely unbelievable. And I give tons and tons of that away. Fortunately, my blackberry plants and my blueberry plants from last year, the blackberries were in the containers. And I had one raspberry in the very back that was in a container. They did not make it through the winter, obviously. That just didn't happen. I had blueberry plants planted over here, and they just didn't make it either. So we will be replanting those. I've already got blueberries, and I'm going to get some blackberries. My honeysuckle, though, just has been going gangbusters. We ordered plants from the Conservation District for this year. We got like 8 new trees, new fruit and nut trees, including apricots, peaches, pawpaw, pecans. I also got some more honeysuckle, wisteria, all kinds of stuff. And hibiscus for Luxie to eat, my leopard tortoise. Right here on this fence, there was Confederate jasmine. Ooh, that wind is getting good. There was Confederate jasmine blowing me around. It's one of the joys of living right here in Oklahoma, is the wind gets crazy. So, on the other side of where the Confederate jasmine was planted, if it doesn't come back, we will be planting honeysuckle there. On the other side of that is where my lettuce bed is going to be. This area only gets a limited amount of sun for a few hours every day, because the sun comes from over there. I love this barn. It's actually not our property, it's our neighbor's property, but it's just so cool to look at. It's a really cool old barn. Comes over the barn and then goes over our house to the front yard. So this area loses sunlight pretty quickly, but it does get several hours of sun, and so we'll be good for growing lettuces and stuff there. I've also seeded this whole area with flowers for the pollinators to go along with the honeysuckle. I have also planted lily of the valley. I have planted, and then way over here on the edge of that flower bed where the privet hedge is, my compost bin is actually up in there. It gives me a nice never-ending litter of leaves in my a never-ending amount of leaf litter into my compost bin, which is really, really nice. But I planted elephant ear over there so that my neighbors would not have to look at it. And then right here was planted a hummingbird vine, and I'm not sure that it is going to come back from last year either. And if it doesn't, I'm going to be planting honeysuckle there as well. So we're going to walk over to another section of the yard, and I will let you guys know what's going on over there. If you have not seen this before, this gazebo actually came from my parents' house that they recently remodeled. It was there when they purchased the house, and it was underneath the screened-in porch, so they really didn't have much use for it. So I have been using it as my planting and potting area. And right now, I am using our self-watering plant beds from last year. I grew peppers in these 6 planting beds, both hot and sweet peppers. And I will be doing hot peppers again this year, but I will not be doing them in these planting beds. I'm actually going to be doing them in the ground. And right now what I've got here is Ford Hook chard, kale. This is the, oh, the tag is missing. I don't know which kale that is. I think that is the heirloom blue kale, but I'll have to double check. And then that is concept lettuce, which doesn't seem to be getting with the concept and growing very well, but we'll see what happens. And then I've got starts for some of Bobby's peppers right here. I've got some butternut squash that is starting to sprout. And then on the other side over here, that is some of my arugula that I've started, just getting it kind of going a little bit before I put it into the lettuce bed while the grass is dying underneath the lettuce bed. And then over here, these two buckets, I'm using the same concept as with the potatoes, with carrots and parsnips. And these are short sweet carrots, so those should be really fun. Oh, I think I see the tag. There it is. Oh, nope, that must be one from last year. So these two buckets have carrots planted in them. They're little 4-inch short sweet carrots, so we'll see how they do in the containers this year. And then over here, this actually was where there used to be paving stones, where the previous owners had their barbecue pit, and they'd actually put weed cloth underneath those stones. So when I moved them, it was really nice. I didn't actually have to do anything too terribly tough to get rid of the weeds and excuse me, to get rid of the roots from some of the weeds growing around it and get it prepped to be planted. So what is planted in here right now, and the fencing on that far side is temporary. It is just there to keep the dogs out while I am waiting for my plants to come up, because that far side is rhubarb, and once it gets going I won't have to really worry about the dogs trampling through it. But right now I just want to keep them out of the whole area, because what is planted in here is melting sweet peas on this side, and there is some chicken wire lattice going over the top for them to grow up. And then I've also got some Alaskan peas right here and some dwarf gray peas right here. I planted some parsnips right on the end to see how they would do. And then I have some royal purple bush beans in the middle. So we'll see how all of that does, how it all comes up, and what happens with that. I'm continuing this year to experiment to see what will grow well here. We've only been here a little over a year and a half, so we are still kind of feeling out the area, feeling out the planting vibe, seeing what's going on, so that we can continue to grow both what we like and what works well here. On the other side of that fence right there, all of my potatoes are going to go on this side of that fence. On the other side, we've decided we want to try and plant corn. Bobby loves to grow corn, so we're going to try that. Right now I'm just trying to kill the grass so that I can then plant that. I've been starting some in pots just to see if the seeds will actually grow. So we'll see if that happens, and that's what we'll be putting there. If not, then we'll be putting other stuff there. Past where the corn will be, I'm going to be planting some of the trees that we bought from the conservation district out there to go along with some that I'll plant along this fence in here. My pear tree is over there in the corner, and I have a peach tree right there. I have another peach tree inside and a cherry tree inside that I need to plant, and a couple of my blueberries. So for right now, that is the majority of what we'll be doing this year. As I continue to get stuff in the ground, I will definitely update you guys on the progress of the plants and how everything's going.